Hi, so in this video today, I'd like to talk about why I think that payment plans are critical and why if you're not doing them, I think that you're leaving possibly thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on the table every single month, and my top tips on how to implement them and make them successful for you. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Richard. I'm a full-time photographer and studio owner. I own the studio along with my wife, Tracy. Our studio turns over multiple six figures per annum, and I make these videos because I really enjoy talking about the business of photography and helping other photographers where I can. So today I specifically want to talk about something that's not talked about a huge amount in the photography industry in general, and that is payment plans. What I want to talk about today specifically is finance companies and how to use them to advantage your business. First question is why even offer payment plans? Okay, so there's two parts to this, I feel, and the first part is it gives you the ability to offer your services and sell people your artwork or whatever it is you do in the world of photography to people who might not be able to afford to pay for it all in one go. That's a fairly obvious thing. And the second reason that I think is overlooked a little bit is that with your good clients who are cashed up and can pay, it gives you the ability to upsell them beyond what they thought they could do. So meaning you can get that amount of money that they had budgeted at the beginning, and then it gives you the ability to upsell them and add more stuff on. And so you can take their payment as a deposit and then have the rest as payment plans. So what are the disadvantages of this? And I see this quite a bit when I'm in Facebook groups talking about finance options. And that is the commissions you've got to pay to the finance company. Okay. Now, this can vary greatly from company to company and depending on what you do. Everyone's got different terms and conditions and different fees and everything like that. But just as a blanket statement, okay, generally speaking, what you're looking at for longer term ones, for bigger amounts of money, you're looking between in Australia, I'm talking about here, between sort of 7 to 12%, depending upon the amount and the time of the agreement that you've arranged with the client. Okay, so there's that. So I see this a lot. People say, oh, I had this client come and they spent all this money, but then I did the thing and then, all of a sudden I had to pay, I lost $1,000 or whatever the case may be, depending on the finance company. But the question you've got to ask yourself, obviously, is would you have got that sale without the finance company? Okay, so that's a question that only you can answer for yourself. I sort of take the view of bird in the hand's worth two in the bush, in the sense that, even if you do have to pay that percentage to the company, I look at it as a sale that you probably would not have got without their services. So you got to look at it like that. You got to look at it pragmatically. So if you got to this point, you think, okay, I wouldn't mind checking this out further. What I like to do is give you my best tips on how to proceed with finding a finance company and what to expect when you're dealing with them as a vendor. Okay, this is one of the things I can speak with quite a lot of authority on, because I used to work in finance and I used to have an Australian credit license and lend money. So I'm very acutely aware of things you should be thinking about before embarking upon this. Number one, you need to find a finance company that suits what you do. So my strong tip here is, in the world of photography, is just be careful that you choose one that can finance to the levels that you need to finance to. Okay, so let me explain what I mean. So if you're a studio and your aspirations are to sell artwork and things like that, or packages, or whatever the case may be, between $1,000 and $10,000, then obviously you need to have the options to be able to finance that level, because a lot of the financiers, especially those interest-free ones for retailers, might only go to like, $1,000 or something like that. So that's step one, is find one that will go to the levels that you need it to do. Now, obviously, all countries are different. I can give you one company in Australia, if you're watching this from Australia, and that's a company called Payrite. Okay, they're pretty good. I've used them in the past. I still have an account with them, even though I don't use them. But that's for different reasons, which I'll cover in another video. But they will finance those bigger numbers. Okay, so that's them. So you just need to check it out in your country. And each country is obviously different. But I would hazard a guess that if Australia's got these options, you can guarantee America has, and you can guarantee the UK has. Europe I've got no idea about, but just check it out. In fact, if you are watching this from another country and you are offering finance as an option to your photography clients, drop it in the comments. It'd be really useful to know this, because it's a thing I do see pop up quite a bit, is recommendations for finance companies that can do this. So if you could put it in the comments, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. The next bit is have a really super firm understanding of the system, the nuances, and all the processes of the finance company you choose. Okay, this will require some practice. You've got to and study. You need to be able to do this with authority and with real confidence, because if you start fumbling around and not understanding what you're doing, okay, that can really affect the sale. You know, people will start to get nervous because you're not coming from a place of confidence, and they won't be confident that they can do it, and they might back out of the sale. So it's worth understanding all those nuances, procedures, and so on with the finance company you're dealing with. So the next thing you need to be super fluent on is the costs and payments and all that type of thing in relation to your customer, okay? You need to be able to explain to them when they ask you questions what the fees are, what the repayments are, what the costs are, all those types of things. If you can convey those with clarity and confidence what you're talking about, they will borrow that confidence from you and feel okay about proceeding with it. So that's really, really important that you know how to do that. So the next thing is, assuming that you found a finance company that you like, you've studied all their fees and everything like that, and you're up to speed on all that stuff. The next thing I would do is practice the actual procedure of putting a customer through the application process. Okay, that's really important. If you practice that, you'll have even more of an understanding of the things you need during that process to get it through to completion. Because if you get halfway through it and you suddenly realize, oh my God, I haven't got their driver's license number or passport number or something like that, because when you run them through these procedures, they will do credit checks on them on the way through automatically these days. It's pretty clever stuff. I don't know how they do it. I never used to do it like that. We used to have to do it all manually. But it's pretty remarkable. But for example, if you get the driver's license number wrong, or you put in a typo, or you get the passport number wrong, or whatever the case may be, there's a strong possibility that the application will fail, and you cause this whole problem where you have to go back to the customer at a later time, go back to them, during working hours, if you're working on the weekend, and get it all fixed. And that is during that period of time when these things can fall over. So, you revisit it and you get in contact with your customer or whatever the case may be. And I think they potentially could say things like, we've thought about this and we just want to give it a bit more thought. And, we might check out our own finance and all that type of thing. And then all of a sudden you've lost control of the situation. So I strongly recommend that you practice that and go through it. And so you have a really firm understanding of how it all works, okay? And then following up from that is that most of these companies will have reps that will deal with their vendors, okay? So my strong recommendation is torment your rep, okay, and get them to help you with this component. Go over it and over it and over it until you're super fluent with it, so that, for example, like say you may not need to do this for a month. So you need to have practiced enough that if you remember from a month ago that you remember how to do it. I can't stress this enough. This is what can make these all fall apart if you don't practice it. So please take the time, consider it high value work, okay, and go in and practice this. That's what I would do. I touched on this before. You'll probably find that when you sign up for one of these places, they'll have some sort of an education process regarding the legalities on a lot of the things. My recommendation is not to skim over that and just tick your way through it saying you've read it, during the training bit, or however they happen to do it. I know it's boring, I know it's tedious, I know it's irritating, but it's really worth doing. It's really worth having an understanding of this stuff, because this is the sort of thing, this is the business stuff, this is like the grown-up business stuff that can really get you into hot water if you do it wrong, okay? In Australia, we have this body called the Office of Fair Trading, and those guys, for example, have a lot of power to prosecute you if you're trading illegally. And I'm not trying to scare you off doing it, but all I'm saying is just take the time, understand what you're doing. Usually these companies will make it really easy for you to understand because they want you to do it. They want your business, okay? But just take that little bit of time to understand it. Don't take shortcuts. Do what they tell you to do, and you'll be absolutely fine, okay? So it's worth mentioning that, though, because that is something that you can get into serious trouble with. So to wrap this up, but like I touched on at the beginning of this video, is I don't actually use the finance companies anymore. I made a decision a couple of years ago for us to do all our own financing, so to speak. I decided I wanted to save the fees and not give the finance companies a percentage of what we make. Now, just to be clear, I'm not necessarily advocating doing that. It's just that we have the means and the capability of doing it. So that's what we decided to do, okay? But if you are interested in seeing a video on that, I'm more than happy to do one. It's not for everyone, I promise you that. Like for the majority of people, they need the cash flow, and I understand that 100%. But if you would like a video, please sing out. I'm happy to do one and explain my process in how I do that. So if you're a regular to the channel, I do apologize for taking so long to get another video out. My goal was to have one a week, but it's just been a really busy couple of weeks for us. We've done a lot of back-to-back sessions, and then mixed in all that, I was presenting a course, a sales course, to a whole bunch of photographers, and so I literally have not had time to do any videos. So apologies for that. And that leads me neatly into my final closing statement. That is, if you've got anything out of this, I would love you to subscribe to the channel. If you are already subscribed to the channel, then I'd love you to give me a like or leave a comment. Apparently that really helps with the YouTube algorithm. But thank you for watching. Until next time, I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Have a great business, and I'll see you in the next video. Again, thanks for watching.